September 17th to order. This will be our last city council meeting for fiscal year 2024, and we'll start fiscal year 25 in October. So I'm going to put the agenda up here, and I'm going to ask Councilman Rustin if he'd lead us in the invocation.
Let's pray. Dear God, thank you as always, being able to join as a group tonight, God. We thank you, Lord, for the people that are represented here tonight, the families that they represent, and guys, thank you so much for their attendance. Lord, I ask you, Lord, to be with the meeting tonight. Let the things that discuss be for the benefit of the city. And always, Lord, we thank you for the people that protect our city on a day-to-day basis and just ones that make it look nice and beautiful throughout the year. And Lord, I just ask as we enter this next year and this of this season of life, Lord, I ask you, Lord, just be with all of us, be with the city, and let it continue to grow effectively. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. As you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. While you guys are reviewing the agenda, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Lilly. Here. Mizell.
Here.
Rustin.
Here.
King. Here. Phillips.
Here.
Mayor Mitchell.
Here, and we have a quorum. Everybody's present. Give you a few more seconds here to look at the agenda. The first part of it's pretty standard. Approval of the minutes, department head reports, board reports, discussion items, and then we'll have a public hearing on some proposed rezoning, and then we will consider ordinances associated with that. We're going to adopt our 2025 budget, and there you have it from that. So without further ado, we'll move on. And the first item, as always, is the consent agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of the 10th of September regular council meeting. The council's been given a copy of those minutes. So we have them in these packages. Should have had an opportunity to review those. So are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Okay, if not, let the record show that the minutes are approved by unanimous consent. And we'll get right into our department reports. Police Department, Chief.
Sure. So everything's going well at the police department. We're all green. Stoplight communication. One thing we did get to put on there, we are hiring for another officer. We had one officer leave. He decided to go, I think, drive a truck or something. And then we're also, we're hiring another dispatcher. That got filled. One of our dispatchers, Ashley Blackerby, who's been with us for several years, moved up to the tutelage of Miss Terry. She's going to be a magistrate instead of a dispatch. And so we're all good there. Issues and concerns. I was just talking to Councilmember King about it. Scams. It's that time of year, and scams are kind of in full swing, especially the jury duty scam. They'll call and tell you had jury duty, you didn't show up. You can pay a bond over the phone, which is something that would never happen, and people get taken by it on a daily basis. Some of the other scams is a gift card scam. There's one going on at the Dollar General. Dollar General's changed their policy on their cards now that the scammers would come in and somehow persuade the cashier on a gift card to hit the cash button on their register, which automatically loaded the card, and then they would pay with a false card, so they would kind of double up on their money. Dollar General's changed their policy, to my understanding, that they will no longer take cash for gift cards. It has to be some type of debit or credit card. Besides that, everything else is great. Public Safety Day is Saturday, so come out and join us. We'll have food, fun, meet the people who serve you. Fire department will be there, rescue will be there. I think Lifesaver's going to fly in. Helicopter will be here for the kids to play on. We'll have all kind of things to do, treats and all, and come out and dance with us. We'll have a good time. That's about it.
Any questions for Chief?
So you're saying you will never get a phone call or somebody show up for jury
You will
duty?
not get a phone call from anyone saying that you have a warrant of any type. Vicki can back me up on this. That's not their procedure. Okay, you'll get a knock on your door from a person telling you that you have a warrant. Or if you think that you do have a warrant, you can call the agency, us or the sheriff's department, and we'll inform you whether you have a warrant. But we're not going to send you a letter.
But jury duty will come as like a certified letter, right, or something like that? Like a
Yes,
letter.
now, if you get called to jury duty, it will come in a certified letter for you to report to jury duty, but it's not gonna give you a number to call to pay a fine. That's how they get you, is they give you a number, or you call it, and they'll tell you, you're charged with not showing up for jury duty. Your fine is X amount of dollars. You can take care of the charge now by paying the fine, and it'll be dismissed. That's how they get you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thanks, Chief. Administration.
Everything's going good with admin. We are just finalizing the 25 budget, which we're voting on tonight, and preparing for our 24 year end. The bottom is our budget year-to-date through the end of August. The first section is general fund, and the bottom section is all other funds, and everything is looking good.
Any questions for the clerk? Okay. Court, municipal court.
Everything's still going pretty good in court. Budgets we're a little cautionary just because of the economy and taking in our collections. As Chief stated, Ashlyn Buckby is moving from the police department to upstairs to become our new magistrate. She starts September 23rd. Next court will be October the 8th, and driving school, if we have participants, will be October 16th.
Do you have anybody signed up for driving school yet?
Not for October 16th, no.
Any other questions for Terry? Okay, moving right along. Public Works.
Everything's going well in the street and sanitation department right now. People got a lot of brush piled up out there. Brush truck is being repaired. We got turned over on its side and should have it back now, hope in the next couple of weeks. We're gonna get out and try to pick some of it up with another piece of equipment tomorrow. And we're in the process of getting together and getting stuff ready to send out for bids on our paving project once we get all the stuff crossed and I's dotted and everything, the way we want it and everything. Other than that, everything is running fine.
Where are we on the project out there? On the public works?
I talked to them today, they're supposed to be back next week to finish the grade, and then we'll get out there and put our sewer pump in. And other than that, I've had one price come in on the electrical, and I don't want to mention it, it was bad, so I'm back to get some more prices on it.
So we're getting close, huh?
I thought we was on the electrical, but went back to the drawing board, and wanting somebody else some more prices.
So we need lights, obviously, in there, and then we need the pump so that we can have sanitation, the bathrooms there. And then the paving will be included in the paving project bid that you mentioned. Once that's done, we can start moving out of the old building and putting stuff in there.
Was that electrical, was it from a local person? No.
The one that Dale uses out at the treatment plant and stuff.
Okay.
It was bad.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for Alan? Okay. All right, board reports. The Planning Commission, did you guys meet as well? You had it.
We didn't have a quorum.
Okay.
That was last Thursday, and we didn't have a quorum,
Okay.
so we did not meet.
All right, but the other part is the board appointments. As many of you know, that Micah Walker resigned. Her term was to run through October the 1st of 27, and I appointed Christy Brazier to fill the seat vacated by Micah. Amy Dixon, who's been on the Planning Commission, and her term expires the 1st of October. She has indicated that she would like to serve another term, so I'm going to reappoint her to the next term. Her new term will expire October the 1st, 2030. They're 6-year terms. Are there any other boards that have met since we?
The beautification board met.
Okay.
Same old, basically, we're running out of money because it's the end of the year. We are decorating for fall and discussing all of our Christmas plans. We are doing the Christmas tour of homes again. This is gonna be a really big one because we have, a social media influencer that is on our tour, and she has hundreds of thousands of followers. She has lots of influencer friends that have come to Columbiana recently, and they are all promoting our tour of homes. So, we're really excited. This is gonna be a big tour. I talked to Charlene about being able to do some online ticket sales, because I think our numbers will be, I hope, through the roof, but, anyway, it'll be a bigger tour. We've just started fall decorating, if anybody's been through town, to start seeing some pumpkins. So, other than that, we're just waiting on more money to spend.
So when you say a bigger tour, you're talking about participants or visitors, not
Yes.
not necessarily
We will
more
still have
homes.
the 5 homes, just
Okay.
because that's a good amount, to keep everybody here in town. That's a good amount. We will probably do the tour 1 to 5, just because we will have more people.
Okay.
So, we're excited about it. I think it's gonna be a good tour.
What's the date?
December the 7th, 1 to 5. The Christmas parade is December the 6th, and so we were hoping that some of these people that might be coming in from out of town for the tour will come on Friday and make their weekend up. So, that way everybody can get home before the SEC championship game.
That's right.
At 6:30.
You've really been planning ahead. haven't you? So,
I don't ever have to worry about it, because Auburn never knows.
now. Okay, any other boards? All right. All right, so you're up again. Discussion item, you wanted to talk to us about a Christmas tree purchase.
Okay, so I started to, go ahead and talk about that, but I emailed everybody so that y'all could actually look at the reviews, look at the link and everything. But the beautification board for the last couple of months, when we've been talking about Christmas, last year, we made a change and moved the big commercial, I don't know how big that tree is, that was at the red light. It was a little bit too big for that space. They moved it over to Old Mill Square Park, and we put a real 12-foot, last year it was a 12-foot tree at the corner, right there at the red light. That tree was $850. And we just sort of discussed that this might be a better way for us to spend the city's money and be good stewards of the money, is to have something that, yes, we might have an investment of $2,000 1 year, but we can use it for 5, 7, 10 years. We're taking things down and packaging, putting them up in storage so that we will get the most for our money. This tree is from Balsam Hill. You can see it there. It is 12 feet. We had discussed building some type of box that would look like a present or something like that, just to add a little bit of height to it. But it's a pre-lit, outdoor rated tree. It has a warranty for 3 years. So it's not something that's just your average Amazon, Home Depot tree, something like that. This is a really nice outdoor rated tree. I have some information about the characteristics, the warranty of the tree. I have some reviews. It's gotten excellent reviews. Out of all the 55 reviews, they've all been 5 stars. There was nothing that was a 2 or a 1 star. So to me, Balsam Hill is a very reputable company. It is pre-lit, so it's going to come in 3 sections. It is free shipping right now. And the reason that I'm here now is because it's in stock now. I don't know that it's going to be in stock in 3 weeks for October 1st for our money. So I guess I'm here to beg and ask if there's a way that we could go ahead and purchase this tree, knowing that it's going to take us over our budget probably by about $1,200. Because by the time we pay for pumpkins and fall decorations, we're going to be pretty zeroed out. So this is an expense that we weren't really planning for, But after we really started talking about it, and we didn't budget this last year, so we would love to be able to go ahead and get it. So I'm asking you guys, if you don't mind, if we can go ahead and purchase this, knowing that we're about to have our new budget, we're about to have a huge fundraiser, so please. And how y'all feel about it? I mean,
So,
you know, you might want a live tree.
so I asked Charlene to look at, how much you had left, and let's have a discussion about, you know, what you're gonna spend, and so we'll know what we'll need to come up with, so. What do you got?
So the report that Francis sends every month, she went ahead and ran it again to date to make sure that nothing's changed. And you still have $1,800 left. That does not count the, fall decorations. So we didn't know how much of that was,
We budgeted about $800 for fall.
Okay.
I don't think we were gonna spend all of that.
okay, so even if you did, then you still got 1,000. So. that
So it's
helps.
$2,000 tree.
It's $19.99, yeah. Girl math. And there's no tax and shipping is free.
It's $19.99.99,
Yes.
How
not
heavy,
$2,000.
how heavy is it?
It doesn't really say, but it will come on an 18-wheeler. So, and I know it says a slim tree, but it's 5.5 feet at the bottom. So it is a very full tree.
Did you say lights come on this?
Yes, it is LED, warm lights, because we didn't want the cool, so it is warm lights. It is pre-lit, but we're planning on adding lights to it. But included in this 3-year warranty includes it includes the lights. So it will come in 3 big sections. I don't see where it says weight or
I couldn't
anything.
find it either.
You might be able to check on that link that
So after, every year we've been buying trees, we're storing them away, we're trying to
Yeah. So, you know, yes, it's gonna take us 2 years to pay for the tree, but then we might get year 3, 4, 5, and 6 for free.
Mhm.
So,
Sounds like somebody should have had a Christmas tree farm. You know?
you have property, Ashley. That's a
So-
great idea.
Just for the,
Just for a comment, Lisa has to ask Mother May I, obviously, to spend something that we haven't already approved her to spend money on. Of course, the city will actually purchase this. We would send along with the purchase request, we'd try to get let them know we've got a tax exempt form, send it to them. But again, kind of going back to what Charlene talked about. So we had planned by August to have a total surplus of all funds of $1.4 million. We have basically $2 million in our surplus. Our general fund, we had planned to have about 1.4 million. We have 3. So the question is, does the council want to go ahead and let her go ahead and order it? And, you know, we are going to be rolling into the new fiscal year, which there'll be a new budget within a few weeks.
I'm good with it.
Let me ask it this way. Does anybody object to do it?
Because you're paying $850 every time for a live tree.
Yes, ma'am, a 12-foot tree. And
So the cost might increase next time.
yes, and they are very hard to find, and we always, or we have in the last 2 years, used Cedar Creek Nursery that brings the small trees for Old Mill Square Park. 12 and 14 foot trees are hard to find, and they're not very symmetrical, whereas this is gonna be a very symmetrical, pretty tree. But it's still gonna be it's gonna look like a pretty tree. It's not a commercial tree.
Well, I'm supportive, but I'll make 2 comments. It's one less thing you gotta water. Well, and I say that tongue in cheek, but I say that it could die
Yeah.
before Christmas is even over.
Yes.
But I would also, if it's worth it to look into, maybe an extended warranty. Or, I mean, we just, maybe 3 years, we just buy a new one, I don't know, but, you know.
It does come, it has some other information. It does come with a, tree stand and all kinds of extra, like sockets, so it's gonna be more stable, I think, than just the one that we had in a tree stand prior to the crate barn was replaced.
You know, there's a 3-year warranty on it, but that doesn't mean that the thing's gonna go kaput in 3 years. And the fact that that warranty includes the lights, I know those of us who've had pre-lit trees before, we get frustrated. The next year we put them up and there's a whole section of lights that doesn't work. So, so that's good. We'll have to make sure we test it early enough so they can come out and fix it. But the bottom line is, you know, we could do the extended warranty, but who knows? You might
Yeah,
end
if we
up
get
paying
4
more
years,
for it.
if we get 4 years out of it, we got our money's worth, I think.
Yeah, 3 years, you get your money's worth, but.
It does have a special UV coating to, resist the fading effects of the sun.
Yeah, it's an outdoor tree, so you would expect that. So. All right, so we'll look in and see what, if a extended warranty is, well, yeah, see if it's available, number one, and then number two, you know, what does it cost? Sometimes it might not be worth it, we'll see. Okay, we're good to go.
Thank you.
All right, so now, we're going to have to suspend the council meeting and convene a public hearing for the, rezoning. Let me see if I've got a chart up there that talks about properties that we're gonna actually consider rezoning. This is, our zoning map, and this is very small, and I know it's difficult for you to see, but, the, first property that we are considering for rezoning is right here, okay? And, that would be, I can get my, agenda here and see what the address is there. That would be, 421 Highway 25, right there at Jointown Road. The other one is is right here. It's Brown Lumber Company, if you will. It includes their main store, their main site, as well as their wood yard. So those are the two areas that we're going to be having the public hearing about. So I'm going to go ahead and read this. I'll need a motion to suspend the city council meeting.
I'll make a motion to suspend the regular meeting.
Second.
And all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the meeting's suspended, so now I'm going to convene the public hearing. So bear with me here while I read this script here. The proper notice of the regular scheduled meeting of the Columbiana City Council was given in advance of this public meeting, and the notice remained posted through this scheduled meeting. I've already suspended, so that's been done. Actually, I did that wrong, Charlene. It says it has to be a roll call vote.
Okay.
It was unanimous, though. There wasn't anybody that objected, but let's go ahead and do the roll call.
Okay.
So we'll do it again.
Councilmember Lilly? Here. Mizell?
Yes.
Rustin?
Yes.
King? Yes. Phillips?
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell?
Yes. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to call to order the public hearing to hear from anyone speaking for or against the rezoning of the following properties. So parcel number 216-234-001-024.007, that's rezoning from R1 to M2. This property is located at 21421 Highway 25. Just the standard note for the council members that this is a public hearing. It's not time for council debate, so we will hear for the public, those speaking for and against the rezoning request, and there'll be an opportunity for discussion at the regular council meeting when it's rezoned. I'm going to do these separately, so we're going to do the first parcel first. So would anybody like to speak in favor of the rezoning request for 21421 Highway 25?
Is that the property adjacent to Jointown Road?
Yes.
Yeah, we'd like to speak to that.
Okay, go ahead.
And what's your name?
It's Matt Martin.
By the way, did we pass out the
Alan's got to get one.
sign-up sheets? Okay.
Some of y'all have met before, but just in case, Matt Martin, again, with Elway Locomotive. There's some new stuff in here too for those who've gotten it before. So we are a locomotive service and repair company. We're all over the United States. We service up in Canada and down in Mexico, Chile, you know, we've probably been there. Probably something that's not in there, we have our own proprietary rail locomotive surveillance camera system. We're the only ones in the country who have it. So just a little bit of background about us. I live in Columbiana, have since 1997. My wife grew up here as well. We have little boys in first grade at Eldonville over here as well. We're looking to move our operation headquarters here in Columbiana. I've passed by that property 1,000 times in my life, but I've never realized there's a rail spur going into it. Happened to meet Mr. Little in town one day, and just kind of destiny, everything fit together as it should. So we're looking to move into the property hopefully, and we're not speaking favor of rezoning it, but in the packet there, the very first one, here's a little bit about us on the left side. But on the right side here, the first sheet is the Google Maps image of all the rail that's highlighted here. With the rail that goes into the property, these other rail spurs or sidings as they're called. These, since the last meeting, we have got into negotiations with Norfolk Southern and have leased all of this property. So just in case this didn't work out, we'd still have a place to perform our work. So anything that's outside of the property that's gated in, if you were to draw a line and connect these two triangles right here and up to this switch point here, we're in talks to lease all that property as well. So that's highlighted. The next sheet is just kind of lining out what our plans would be loosely for the property, where buildings might go, the sizes, things like that. And then behind that is examples of the types of buildings. The buildings that are shown here, this is R.J. Corman, this is in Russellville, Kentucky. We do a lot of work for them. They pride themselves on how they appear. Everything's clean, it's well-to-do, it's put up the way it's supposed to be. We do the exact same thing, so I thought it was good to demonstrate this is what it would look like, and that's how we perform our work. Since the last meeting, I've also done a little research. We service the locomotives over at Calera Railroad Museum, and found out that this property is actually the original location of the original Columbiana Rail Depot. So there's two Rail Depot houses built there. On the left side, there's a picture of the Rail Depot original. So this is the second one. The first one was burned down by General Sherman. When he came up through Marble Slaw, through Montevallo, they burned Columbiana, they burned Calera, and they also burned Shelby down the L&M line. So where all the trucks parked right there at the beginning of the property and the gravel, that's where the depot originally sat. So that's why it's Depot Street when you cross the street right there. Before after the So just a little background on the area. So we feel like it would be proper to rezone it just because it's always been railroad related. This would be estimated to put about 50 new jobs at the location. Not all of those are service people and people that will be on site. Some are sales, some are outside sales, administrative people, and then all road service. So that's what we think we bring to the community. Very corporate and neighborhood oriented. So we like to keep our money local. Most of our business is in Calera. As far as local business, a lot in Birmingham. But we'd be looking to move. We spoke to O'Reilly's about carrying our filters. It's around $300,000 a year for filter sales. Looking to move that to Columbiana. Some of our other stuff, tooling, hose making, go to Napa. We do about $180,000 a year for those materials. So we'd be looking to bring all that to Columbiana as well.
Okay. Is there anyone else who wants to speak in favor of the rezoning?
wood yard there for many years, I can tell you exactly how many. During the committee meetings for this, there were many on the board who mentioned, as far as they knew, it was always a commercial piece of property and operated as such. And as you can see, the properties just to the west, there's several properties adjoining here that are zoned M2. They're not actively being used as M2, but were used as such. So I think this, I've been in the commercial real estate business for quite a while. I've never seen a rail-served property zoned residential before. And a property that was used commercially for many years stands to reason that's the proper setting. And just to add on, when you see that map, and I was looking at the map on the other side of this wall right here, the center of that map is the town square. You can see, just in looking at that map, where the commercial center of this town, really the history of this town, originates from a commercial standpoint. It's really right there at Depot Street, where trains came in. It was not a residential area. So I would just add, it's along a major corridor with other commercial property, and that's the value of the property there. Is that it is a commercial use. It's rail served and fronts a major highway. So.
Okay. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of the proposed zoning? Excuse me. Okay. Would anyone like to speak against the proposed rezoning? Yes, ma'am.
Yes. We live right there at the Woodland. We right there. And we feel that there shouldn't be a business right there up against us. Right next against our property. We've been there all our lives. We were there before the Woodyard was there. Our property been passed down from generation to generation. It's been in our family at least 200 years. It was my great-grandfather's property passed down to us. And like I said, we were there before Woodyard was there. And then you have the middle school right there. She has a business. We got the middle school right there, and the school traffic in the morning and in the evening. Everyone that Harry Little leases it to, we have a lot of trouble out of them. Them using our roads or blocking our roads. The Woodyard is zoned residential, but why was it allowed to be used as a business if it was an R1 and everything? The zoning commission turned it down last year. So we don't understand why they want to pass it this year, because they turned it down as B1. And so we don't understand why did they push it and approve it as a MC this year. As far as the locomotive business, that's not a lot of room for a locomotive business to build a huge building. And you all have in your package, this is an example of the building he's talking about building. And you see how big it is and everything. And then he wants to have other buildings such as a park storage, oil containment area, garbage / dumpster. They will have the parking for 50 employees. I don't see that big being big enough for that. I really don't. For all of that, that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of moving parts. They have a business already. Here in Columbiana on Highway 97. So why they want to use the Woodyard and everything. And then I have a concern with the oil containment area. We worry about the environment and environmental waste. You have to take all that into consideration with that. And that's why, we are against and everything.
What is your name?
Oh, Tawana Battle.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak against the proposed rezoning? We have one. I'm sorry, we have one already standing behind you. All right, go ahead. And if you would state your name for the clerk, please, Ms. Williams. Okay,
I'm against it from, the changes from a residential to manufacturing. Because the way I see it, every business that's been out there, we have problems. We have a lot of problems out here. And I feel like that we shouldn't have to keep going through all of this, year after year, time after time. Just putting somebody out there just to please somebody, which I feel like is not right. And the next thing, I talked to Matt twice. Matt told me that he was hired to clean up and cut all that stuff out there by half. But he didn't say anything about the business that he wants to put out there, in which I didn't have any problem. I was glad that he was gonna clean it up. But I feel like I was misled. And people come out there and say one thing, and then when they get out there, they'll say another thing. And the next thing, Harry, he subleased that place. He leased it, then he was subleasing the place. And putting that people at the wood yard out there. We started having problems. They said they weren't gonna do this, that, and the other. Then they turn around and do something that was causing a lot of problems out there. And it's been an ongoing thing. And he's saying he has not been on that place for 30 years. He only owned that place a few years before he bought it. And I just, like she was asking, I don't understand how he could run a wood yard out there, at least before a wood yard, when it was already residential. Now, I would like for somebody to tell me how was that possible?
well, when we reconvene, we'll talk about that. Okay, so we're trying to hear from you guys first. So.
And then the next thing, I had talked to Harry. And he told me that talking about he'd have somebody to draw a line on our property, and wherever they put that line, that's what he would go by. And I don't know what problem that he has with the police, because I never said anything about the police. He told me, call the police on him. And I'm just like, why would he say that to me? And having a locomotive building out there, it'll create noise and more problems. And like I say, you may say, well, we're not gonna do this, and we're not gonna do that. But once they get out there, they do whatever and cause us problems. And then blocking the road, we can't get in and out the road. And I just feel like it wouldn't benefit us anything, no matter, how it looks. And it take up all that space. Okay, the school is up there, the children walk down the road, the sidewalk. And I feel like for our benefit and the school benefit, it shouldn't be that. Because we don't know how or what it will be ran, how it be ran.
Right.
After once they get out there. And I'm just a change.
Okay, so do you have anything else so I can let somebody else?
And I want to say one more thing. We maintain our property out there. We keep it clean, cut, and everything. And, having a big building out there, they say they'll maintain that side or whatever. I don't know. but we keep our area clean, rodent-free, animal-free, and everything else. And, you
Okay.
know, some businesses attract animals
Right.
and rodents and stuff and everything.
Okay. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak against the proposed rezoning? Did you have something?
She answered my question when she was talking. I wanted to make sure I understood correctly that it's currently zoned residential.
That's correct. And
Because
we'll get to that
all my
discussion
life
here.
I've known it as a woodyard.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to the council discussion. Anybody else want to speak?
I'd like to say something, Mayor and council. I told my wife I was gonna be nice tonight.
Well, thank you.
I left the planning and zoning meeting. Look what she was supposed to do. I don't intend for that to happen tonight. I voiced my opposition to it. And you are, Mr. Little,
Yes.
he's talking about depot and all this. I lived there when the depot was out there. I was there when the Decatur got burned up in the car out there. So I know the history of that area there. And I oppose it because first place it was R1. If they were gonna do that, it shouldn't have been R1 in the first place. And if it's been there, and I had a birthday a month ago, I turned 83. I don't know why it should be changed now.
Okay, well, happy birthday.
Thanks. It's just, and you got the school, like Ms. Washington said. We got a church right across the street from it. You got homes right across the street from it. I could see commercial, but not.
Okay.
Not M1.
All right.
I work in manufacturing. I
Right.
know what goes on. You
Okay.
can't put lipstick on a pig. I know. It's still gonna be a pig.
All right. Is anybody else who'd like to speak?
As we know, everybody knows what the M1 is, it's really manufactured district, we know it's zoned for, and we know that, only one can stay in it, Caltech custodian and on a resident. And when you zone something for that specific reason, it's zoned for that reason because it's manufacturing. Now, when you zone something that way, a nuclear plant can come there and nothing the city come out and do. Because we got a zone M1, because that M1 cover all of that too. See, when you zone the train company and they leave, and the recycling nuclear waste plant comes, and we want to recycle waste, well, y'all know you can't do it, yes, we can, we gonna get a law, because it's M1. M1 too, you know, because once you do things from a 2 to 1, we have to be persistent with what we do. Now, if we're going to change things, suit people and the revenue, which M1 and M2 will bring in more money, that's what it is, revenue, covering our pocket and padding our pocket and get every dollar we can get, no matter what the community says or the people feel, roll over, you know, thing like that is out, is enough, we ought to do what's right. If you want to manufacture, there are manufacturers right out there, about 1,000 feet from it, all in woods, about 500 acres, build away. Now, have it way at it. But now, the main decision is up to the councilman. You know, now you can think on it, you can dream on it, you can do what's right, or you can do what's wrong, it's y'all decision. We all gonna face God for ourselves.
Okay. Is there any more comments before we move on? Yes, ma'am.
I'm just gonna say.
Did you get their name?
Oh, I got their names. What's your name?
Janetta Johnson.
Janetta Johnson.
Johnson. Okay, like, it's right at school, that's what bothers me. And then like when the trains was going through there, it made it hard for traffic. Cause of them trains constantly, and they don't even fix the tracks that's there now. And it's still 10 people cars are going across the track as it is. I mean, if you move this plant in here, like I said, it's a lady in her 90s, stay right there. My mother's 97. We stay right there in Industrial. I'm not feeling it. And I have a child that goes to the store every day on his bicycle, goes over that way. All that concerns me. So, like, we caught trouble as it was, having it rezoned down on Industrial Parkway as it was. Although we own our own property, it made it hard for us if we got a new home, we couldn't put it there because it was zoned. And that was not right. Okay, so that for us, this manufacturer place to go, God bless you, honey, and we should best, but we just not feeling it.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Nancy. I want you to, each of you to think of this in your deliberation. Would you want that in your community?
Okay, thank you. Did you get her name? Okay. Okay, so we'll end the discussion on the property at 421 Highway 25. And there's another tax parcel which belongs to Brown Lumber Company. And this tax parcel is actually was 3 parcels at one period of time, and they were consolidated into one. And there's actually 3 different zoning categories on this one parcel, so they want to combine it into one zoning category. This part is B1, this part where the main store for Brown Lumber is B2, and this part in the back half of their lumber yard is R1. So Brown is requesting to change all that to M2. It's adjacent to this M2 area right here, and I believe they're buying some additional property, or have already bought some additional property out there, so they just kind of want to get it all together. This is today on both sides of Highway 47. This is one parcel. It's just that when those 3 parcels were combined, the zoning for each section of it was never changed. So it's B1, B2, and R1. So, is there anybody here who would like to speak in favor of the rezoning of that property? Is there anybody here who would like to speak against the rezoning of that property?
Oh, yeah. Let's say once again, I have no problem, as understanding the zone meeting the other time, talked about it, yeah, I guess you know, we're talking about it, and I know more than he did. But, he said M2 was a Brown business. I'm in R1. I understand R1 and B2 will not be affected. That's just for Brown business. If that's the case, that's fine. So I'm R1. I'm not affected. I was notified to call Brown and go to R2 in the business. I'm on the yard, red in the business. So not R1, but they R1. I think R2 on one side with them, so everything stays the same, he said. But now I want to get your word. Is R1 going to pay R1 and B2? Brown R1 going to be zoned there to M2, right?
I'm not sure what the question was, so.
Just like they bought the land up there where they done cleared off on Industrial Parkway for the lumber or whatever.
Mhm.
And what is that, a R1?
That's
On
the back part
industrial,
of it.
back here? Where did they buy it at? But that's not what we're talking about today.
And I know you're talking about the lumber.
Yeah. So we need to talk about their existing site. Let's keep the discussion on what it is that's on the agenda to be rezoned.
Okay.
Again, that particular piece of property, it's one parcel, but today it's one tax parcel, but it was originally 3, and they consolidated it into one. But the zoning is 3 different zonings, B1, B2, and R1 for a portion of it. So they already have their business sitting there, since it's all been consolidated. And they want it to become B2 because they have some property over here, M2, because it's in this area right here, so.
Okay, yeah. My understanding on there, like I said, Fred was, out there, I think that was M1. The lumber yard was, B2 and then the B1. Now, he said he will be zoned all that to M2.
Mhm.
That's my understanding.
That's what he wants to do.
Right, I'm a resident of R1, resident, up the side. I was gave a notice that he just was zoning that, and my property wasn't affected, I was near the vicinity. That's what your zoning planning commission told us on the last time we were up here.
So you're asking if your zoning on where you live is gonna be changed?
Well, right, as the zoning commission told the last time, it wouldn't be changed, I still be R1. Only thing gonna be changed was, Fred, the lumber yard, and the business.
I don't think your house is in the scope of what's being potentially.
Right.
It's not.
I was notified because we were in the vicinity.
Right, that's the way,
Right.
that's what we're required to
Yes.
do, is to
Yeah.
let neighbors, know what's going on.
Okay, well, yeah, it looked like you can read wood there a little better, get a little better understanding if you're gonna rezone one parcel or something, we can say that rezoning, this business gonna zone all this business, and you in R1, we can let you have a notice that you know that
Okay.
you're not gonna be zoned, but you can have a guest come back. So
All right.
looking at the notice, it was kind of confusing, because it may look
All
like
right.
R1 gonna be zoned with, but one can come up.
We'll take that constructive criticism and, but now I need to make sure, are you opposing the rezoning of the Brown property to M2, or are you against the rezon? I mean, are you for it?
I'm not zoning either or for it, but
Okay.
I just wanna make sure, R1 is saying
All right,
R1.
gotcha. Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak against the rezoning of the Brown Lumber Company to M2? Okay, if there's no other, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so all in favor of adjourning the public hearing? Aye. Opposed? We do not have to do a voice vote for the adjournment, okay. So I'm gonna call to order again the regular council meeting and get back to the agenda. I wanted to go back to, before we start the discussion, we've heard from all of you, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate everybody being here. I mean, your voices need to be heard. We'd certainly like to see and hear from you more often. So thank you for being here. So when the council is going to consider rezoning, there's some guidance that's provided by the state legislature. And one of the things is that when we rezone, it should be consistent with the city's comprehensive plan. So you can basically go on all that and read the stuff as far as the statute on there, but the stuff that's highlighted in bold print, it says zoning regulations must be consistent with a comprehensive plan in order to be valid. That's what the statute says. However, this stuff, as you might expect, has gone to court from time to time. And the court basically said, well, what that means is zoning ordinances must be enacted with the general welfare of the entire community in mind. So that's the guidance that the council is going to have to consider in order for us to vote for or against the rezoning. So the zoning regulations has to be consistent with the comprehensive plan, and the ordinance change must affect the welfare of the general community or the entire community. So our comprehensive plan, and I apologize, I tried to blow this up as best I could where you could see it, and so it's kind of grainy, it's not as clear. But our comprehensive plan has a future land use map in it. Now, this plan has legal status. The courts have said it has a certain legal effect or legal meaning. Now, what that means, that they weren't real clear when this thing's gone to court. But I think what it means is there are statutes that say that our planning commission must prepare a master plan, which everybody refers to as a comprehensive plan for the city. They're required to do that. And it gives them it gives us guidance to the planning commission on how they should do that. They should have public hearings, they should take surveys, do a lot of research and everything that. So because the statute for creating a comprehensive plan lays out all these guidelines. I think that's what the court means when it says it has legal status. So, but when we talk about, and the plan looks at the future, how do we want to use the land in Columbiana to best meet the needs of the community, plan for future growth, et cetera, et cetera. Now, these land use categories are not zoning categories. They're a little bit different, and that can kind of confuse things a little bit here. So again, here's the area at where the wood yard is at. Here's the Brown Lumber Company area here. If you take a look at this purple area, which most of this over in the area of Brown and the wood yard is north of the railroad track, okay? And that is considered to be, future use to be industrial. This blue shaded area right here is the school, and that's considered institutional. So there's the middle school here. And all of this area that's shaded this sort of, I don't know, orangish red color is called heavy commercial. Again, these are not zoning classifications, they're future use. And when the Planning Commission proposes changes to zoning ordinances, and when the council considers those, we're supposed to consider this master plan or this comprehensive plan and what the future land use was. All of this land in here where the wood yard is Washington's property, the future land use when this was prepared in 2016, it's called Vision 2035, it was supposedly looking there. That was considered heavy commercial. You can see this one tiny little yellow parcel here that is residential, and that is actually north and east and closer to the railroad tracks from both the wood yard and your property. So, but again, this is future land use. This is what the comprehensive plan recommended. As for Browns, again, same thing, industrial, north of the railroad track here, and between the railroad track and Highway 25, this orangish red color here is heavy commercial. The comprehensive plan, in my opinion, does not do a good job of defining what the intent of industrial, institutional, the institutional it does, but the heavy commercial, and then there's this other category called neighborhood commercial, which we don't have a zoning classification for that. And then, of course, residential, we do have several zoning classifications of that. So I just kind of wanted to show everybody, since we're supposed to take this comprehensive plan into consideration in making our decisions, this is what the future land use from that comprehensive plan was set out to be. All right, so you've already seen this map, okay? And you can see today, most of that, even though the future land use was heavy commercial, is residential in this particular area. Now, so the question is, how was a wood yard there when it's zoned residential? Here's my understanding, okay, and I haven't done all the detail reading the documents, but in some years past, the city council chose to zone that property as residential. This has been quite some time ago. It was my understanding it was not zoned when they chose to zone it residential. But we can do the research on this and make sure that my understanding is correct. But the wood yard was operating there as a business. And so whenever something gets established in a zoning classification, or if a zoning classification is changed for a use of the property other than what it is being used at the time that that change takes place, then that business or that piece of property is grandfathered. So the wood yard was able to continue to operating after the property was zoned residential. So then there was a period of time where the wood yard eventually shut down and was not operating as a business. I think it's a year, is that? So if it shuts down and does not operate as the business that was grandfathered out there for a year, then it reverts back to its zoning of R1. So that's kind of how that happened. There was the wood yard there when it was zoned R1. They were grandfathered. When the wood yard shut down, it went back to R1 for that particular piece of property. So I just wanted to share that. I'll apologize for this. I don't know if I did this on PowerPoint, and I tried to draw these lines, and it's easy to draw these straight ones, but these squiggly ones, it's not so easy. So I filled it in. So this is this light blue is the institutional, which is a school, and according to this is future land use. It basically runs up all the way across the right-of-way, not just the track, but across the right-of-way. So it butts up right against the piece of property here that's being rezoned, the wood yard. These sort of pink shaded areas are the heavy commercial future land use. This is the piece of property I was telling you that's future land use was residential. And I believe right here, this is Miss Washington's property right here, okay? Now these areas that you don't see any color to, the future land use calls them heavy commercial. I said heavy commercial up here. Future land use for the red was industrial. And these things where I didn't color it, it looks tannish brown, but that's because these aerial photos are taken in the fall or winter, so you can see without the foliage, and so everything looks brown. But this all of this area out here, future land use calls it heavy commercial, per the comprehensive plan. And then this is the piece of brown property right here. That this part is, I think. B2, this part is B1, and this little piece up here at the top, the smallest piece, was R1, and they consolidated all that into one. Just thought I'd share that, and we go into discussion. So any from the council, any discussion on that?
I have a question.
Oh, this is the public hearing is over, so this is now for the council, if you would.
I got 4 questions. Sir, you mentioned the church. Where's that church out there? I can't.
On Depot Street.
Yeah, it's on Depot Street on the other side of 25. It's
Macedonia.
yeah, Macedonia Baptist Church.
When you turn to the back of Bryant Bank, it's it right.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was looking on this. Okay. Matt, a couple questions for you. The oil, how is that contained?
So we're heavily regulated in the railroad industry, as you would imagine. Two of the biggest bodies that we deal with is the FRA, Federal Railroad Administration, and the EPA. The oil containment is literally a 500 or 1,000 gallon tank. It has to be housed in a concrete enclosed area. It has to be waterproof, rainproof, windproof, all that good stuff. It's an enclosure to ensure that the oil, contaminated rags, or waste oil is contained. McPherson Oil Products, the local company, is the one who comes and pumps out the oil for us. They are also heavily regulated by the EPA, as you can imagine. So all of this is handled with care, and that oil containment area is built to spec per the EPA's regulations.
Okay. So I guess that's routinely inspected, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. The noise there for locomotives when they come in. When locomotives come in for repair, are they turned on? Right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, at the end of the repair, they would be. And so we addressed this at the last meeting too. On a locomotive, you would be surprised that it's not as noisy as you might think. A locomotive passing going 70 miles an hour is pretty loud. These to be stationary. It's around 100 to 120 decibels running. That would be outside standing next to it. Every 10 feet it gets reduced. The buildings are designed with soundproof. The studs are staggered, so you have an air gap in between the walls to reduce that down. It's purpose built for that very reason. That is also heavily regulated by the FRA. So, you know, a decibel, 100 decibels or 120 decibels would be maybe just a little louder than I'm talking right now. That's as loud as you would think. The horns are about 140 decibels, but none of that would occur on the rail yard unless it's being tested inside the facility. So I would say that the decibel level inside the building, you would likely not hear it outside. It's around 60 to 80 decibels, something like that if it was running. And all the work would take place inside of the building.
But in terms of the noise, it would be lesser than what a traditional train coming through there would.
100%,
Okay.
yes, sir. They're all stationary, so it's a lot quieter.
Okay. And I got a question maybe for Charlene or Vicky. M2, and I'm going back to what he mentioned there. M2, is there any restrictions on that zoning in terms of what can go? He mentioned a nuclear power plant.
I don't have my zoning book in here.
Okay.
But anything that came would have to come before either planning and zoning or council. It would have to come before us for business license. So if it was something that would be detrimental to the community, then council could always deny their request for a business license.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I've got for now.
My question is, how would these, trains be transported in and out?
Norfolk Southern. So Norfolk Southern, our agreement with them is that they would control the ins and outs, so they would be responsible for the road crossing. We would assist with that. We all have training, specific training for that. Every year we have to refresh it. And it's called a blue flag log, if you want to take a look at it. And so that would cover the crossing. NS would have the liability of bringing it in and out of the facility. And so other than pulling it in and out of the shop and swapping a track for storage for it to be on the outbound side, the locomotives are going to be pulled in, parked. They'll remain parked for 6-8 months while they're being overhauled, and then pushed back out. So it's very minimal. It's not a very invasive process getting it in and out of the property.
Next, and I guess I'm making a statement, yet I'm asking a question. So if they are gonna transport these locomotives in, that way they're gonna have to maintain their railroads, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so they're not doing it now because they're not doing it. In other words, it's not in business now. You're not doing it now. And we're not getting the school, it's a school there. We have kids that is on the school bus. We have kids that's on, that's handicapped, have handicapped buses. And we have been wanting a crossbar there. But we haven't got it. So my thing is, my process is, if this comes, then the crossbar will come. Do you understand what I'm saying? They'll put it there now. If they come in, they'll put it there now. But right now, since it's not there, we're not, do you understand? They're not doing it now. And I just have a concern. I don't want this to be like Alabaster with the residents, they done came and took came and bought the land and all that, the property over there. I don't want this to be like Alabaster. I'm concerned about the residents, the elderly, I'm concerned. I'm concerned because we're known, Columbiana Middle School is known for the little school across the track. And we don't get help. Even though we're that school, sir, we don't get the help. So my thing is, if you bring this in, then I can see them doing something. But if you're not there, we're not going to get anything.
I sympathize with you. My little boy's gonna be going there.
Yes.
Here in a few years, so I definitely
Yes.
sympathize.
And traffic is heavy and, you know,
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
And so on the traffic front, we would be looking to make our moves outside of normal school and business times. We would schedule it around that. We've already had a negotiation with NS on that. We've talked about the crossing arm. We'd like to supply an extra layer and put personnel out there at the crossing so that you have somebody physically there and the crossing arm. We've talked about that too with them. They're open to that idea. L&M is going to take the burden of fixing all of the track. So all the track that's listed on there that's highlighted in red, we're gonna have to fix all of that. So we'll take that burden on.
you yourself will have to fix it.
Yes, ma'am.
L&M wouldn't do that.
NS will, because NS is looking at that track as it's not a serviceable track right now, so there's no business going. Once a business is in there and it's a now serviceable track, they'll service us, or we took the liability of having to pay for it up front.
Even though a train still come by.
Because it's a main line, so you have the main line and then the two tracks outside of that, the two siding tracks, they don't mess with that until they have a customer to serve at that location.
Okay, thank you.
There's a lot of information to take in.
Yeah, it is. Other,
Here is my ask, and I don't know if we can do this, because I don't know fully where you live, Miss Washington, and I'd like to know that. So I'd like to see that with my eyes. I mean, it's difficult to see on the maps. I mean, I'd like to really just come to your location and see where you, and I'm thinking differently where this property is, I think, because I know where it's at, but I'd like to see it too. So I just like to see where those things come together, you know? Because I like the idea, and what Ms. Lily was saying, I mean, maybe get some activity out there, but also too, I want to see from your standpoint where all this comes together. I think that's what I want to see. I mean, there's a lot of information. I didn't realize that all this was coming together. Because I do like it's a good deal, but also too I want to hear you and I want to see you in your environment. Because I think I know where you live, but I don't fully know right now off that map. But I just want to, that makes sense. I just want to see it. And I don't know what that looks like.
And no due respect, Mayor, but now, you know, we were talking about getting a caution light there. Now we'll get it. With this coming in, right there, coming in, they'll have to do it. They'll have to do it.
So, you know.
any other questions or comments from the council? Okay, so Ms. Lilly, the answer about what you're talking about as far as the crossing bars and the light, I'm not sure I agree with you, and I don't have anything to do with it. The traffic light, the issue that we had before was a ALDOT decision, not to put a traffic light there. And then when I said, when they wouldn't put a red light there, I mentioned the caution light, and they said, oh, no, that's worse. And I was like, how's that worse? Anyway, and as far as those tracks, I know there have been complaints about the potholes over those unserviceable tracks. I did get them to come out and patch them. I wasn't real pleased with what they did, how they did it, but they did put some patches on there. So, and because of the volume of the train traffic, that's where I think there might not be a requirement for the crossing bar. I'm not sure, I don't know, but I know it might have something to do with it.
Can I say, so in terms of the volume that's going through there today with trains, just today, there will be no additional volume basically going through there?
Just one.
No additional, literally 1, 2 locomotives at a time throughout the year.
Okay.
So,
and the other question I have, going to Mr. Little's thing, and just the property, the property's not R1. I don't think. I mean, I don't think the property needs to stay R1, so whether, I mean, and I don't, yeah,
can you see the property, that's sort of on the, go, just down a little bit from your, that, all of that property right there
Yeah,
is zoned into today, right now?
yeah. So, I mean, from being an informal appraisal type of where the highest best use for that property is not residential. And I think we all, maybe that's another conversation too, but I mean, regardless if it's M2, M2 seems like the best, but it's surely not R1 in my mind. Cause I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna build houses out there just thinking out loud.
I've been a commercial real estate broker for 12 years, and I've never seen a rail spur at all.
Yeah.
Like, right there between a major highway and a railroad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had a question on the trains coming in. So the engines as you bring them in. Or as Norfolk Southern brings them in for you, okay? Are they gonna be attached to a train, or are they just gonna cruise up there, by themselves?
No, it'll be attached to a train, so they'll come up, the north side, they'll come up and then back the locomotive into the plant.
Here,
And then, yes, sir, they'll come up all the way to the switch point, far left of the screen.
Right there?
and then back down into the property.
oh, here, and then back up.
Yes, sir.
So basically,
So
I'm sorry, basically they're being towed in from by another
Yes,
locomotive.
yes, sir, it's actually called dead and tow. It's not-
So it would be on a regularly scheduled train.
Yes, sir.
It wouldn't.
No, it's not a special train.
And, but it would, that train would be there for a while, and there would be the associated noise with switching and, you know, trains pulling forward, honking their horns and backing up and,
Not from us.
but from you gotta unhook that engine from the train, don't you?
That's right. Yes,
Okay, so
once-
Norfolk Southern's that's gonna happen.
Oh, yes, sir, yes, but once it's uncoupled from the train and it's pulled into the shop, it'll
Right.
stay there until it's ready to be picked back up.
And, you know, that could, I don't know. And that would happen, how many engines do you expect to do annually?
Right now, we have 6 scheduled, for next year.
Okay, so 6 times a year that
Yes,
would
sir.
happen, roughly. Okay. Now, you mentioned something about leasing the track on the Norfolk Southern right-of-way.
Yes, sir.
And is that a done deal?
It's not signed, no, sir, but it's far enough in the process.
You believe there's an agreement in place?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so you had indicated that if this rezoning didn't take place, you were gonna put your shop on their right-of-way?
It wouldn't be a shop at that point. We would likely use it for, if it were to work out, we would likely use it for, as a siding, to maintain work on the siding. But the property that is, so right where the property line is, a little north of that.
Right.
That whole area would be the lease spot. So likely it would be a stripped down version of what we're proposing.
So you would maintain engines, though, without being inside the noise attenuating building?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay, so you'd still be doing it out in you'd be doing it out in the open?
Yes, sir.
It would be noisier?
Yes, sir. Yeah. There's no room on that side. We've looked at new grading. There's possibly an option to do, a building, but not one where the track would go into the building.
Okay. Now, you mentioned maximum 120 decibels, okay? And because of the construction of the building, when the engine is inside the building, is there a regulation, a noise regulation that says it has to be below a certain level on the outside of the building?
No, sir.
Okay.
The only regulation would be for the horn. It can't exceed 140 decibels. Certain areas are 160.
That's in or out?
Yes, sir. That's in
Okay.
or out. But that is something we take seriously
Okay.
for ourselves because we're members of this community.
But you indicated that if it was in that building, outside the building, it would, I thought you said somewhere around 60 decibels.
60 to 80, yes, sir, inside the building.
So 60 decibels is a normal conversation, 3.5 feet apart between two people. is as loud as it would be inside the building,
Yes, sir.
assuming your building does what you say it will do. So, do you have any engineering data associated with the construction of that building that would say that it'll take that 120 decibels and attenuate it to 60 outside? And oh, by the way, it's open on both ends?
No, close.
Okay, and so it's closed when you're working on
Yes,
it?
sir.
Okay,
Other than the standard building practice of staggering studs in buildings to make rooms soundproof in normal construction, that's what we're going off of. The building that I showed in the packet is also one that's built like that. So we like to emulate with it.
but there's no engineering data to support the 60 decibels?
Other than what's out there, inside wall and an outside wall. Well, you have to, it's called a load cell. We have a microphone device called a load cell that we measure the horn volume with. That load cell test up at that facility that's pictured is where we got that data from. So I would say it's more hands-on, we got the data rather than research. It's
Okay.
something we
So is that,
ourselves.
is that test data recorded someplace? Does somebody have a record of it? Okay. All right. I agree with Ricky, this is a lot to take in. So let me, to move us on here, okay? This is the ordinance for rezoning. The standard practice for adopting an ordinance is that it gets introduced and it gets read, but it's not normally adopted at the first reading. In order to adopt it, the city council has to pass a motion to suspend the rules under which we operate, and then we could adopt it at this first reading of the ordinance. And I'll throw this out to the council. It's my opinion, and I think because of the questions and some research that's want to be done, that we can introduce this ordinance, but I suggest we not do a vote to adopt it at the first reading. I think we do our homework and we come back and we consider it for adoption at the second reading. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, I'm good with that. Matt, I'd like to get your information after the meeting, and I can meet you on site. I'd like to see it if you're in town, and then I'd like to get your information too, and I'll come out to your house and see it. Okay.
So we will need someone to introduce the ordinance and to second it.
Would there be another public hearing? Is that?
No, there won't be another public hearing. This is now for us to do our homework in order to make our decision.
So we do need to introduce it even though we're not?
Yeah, so that we do this would be considered the first reading, and then we just won't vote on it.
I'll introduce ordinance Z 07-1124. It's rezoning property at 21-421 Highway 25 from R1 to M2.
Okay, so it's been seconded, and we will postpone the vote on this until the next council meeting at the second reading. Okay, that was a good session. So now we have the ordinance to rezone the property at the Brown Lumber Company property. There was nobody speaking for or against it. This one's not nearly as complicated as what we just discussed. So is there a motion to introduce the ordinance for rezoning the Brown Lumber Company property?
But I do want to make a mention, this does not, to your concern, this does not affect your property where you live today. This zoning does not affect that.
No, it don't.
Okay, I just want to make sure you understand that, okay? And Charlene, I'm confident in saying that, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right. I'll introduce ordinance Z 07-1124A. It's rezoning property at 21-891 Highway 25 from B2 and R1 to M2.
I'll second.
Okay, So now, I think since this was simple, we could suspend the rules and pass this at the first reading. So is there a motion to suspend the rules?
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
I'll second.
Okay. We typically do a roll call when we suspend the rules, so if you would call the roll, please.
Councilmember Lilly?
Yes.
Mizell?
Yes.
Rutherford?
Yes.
King? Yes. Phillips?
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell?
Yes. Okay, so the rules have been suspended, so all in favor of adoption of ordinance, is that a Z?
It is.
As in Z? Z071124A, rezoning property at 21891 Highway 25 from B2 and R1, and actually there's a B1 in there too, to M2. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous for that one too. Okay, moving right along. Oh, now we get to talk about the fiscal year budget, okay? All right, so I want to start this process off by saying that we've been engaged in this process really since July. We kicked it off at the end of June with a budget call. I want to commend all the department heads in the city. They did a really good job, and the clerk, working with them, did a really good job of preparing their budget estimates. They submitted them to me. We sat down with each of the department heads. We went through those budget estimates line item by line item. And then I prepared a draft budget to present at a couple of work sessions with the city council. And again, I want to commend the city council. First work session was in a great deal of detail. And we had the department heads there so that they could answer questions of the council. And then eventually we had a couple more work sessions, I believe, and we ended up with this. Now, I want to kind of go through some highlights or key points of this budget. Again, this is, I know it's hard for you to read, but it's about revenue, we call it, of $15.6 million for fiscal year 25. That revenue includes more than $4 million in grant funding. We have about 2.8 for our sewer project. We have about $800,000 in ARPA funds for a storm drainage project. We have about $250,000 in grant funding for replacing the lighting at the sports complex on the baseball fields. And there's more in there, but off the top of my head, I just can't recall it. But there's about $4 million, maybe a little bit more than $4 million of grant funding included in that revenue, if you will. And it's also the balance of funds that were being carried over from the prior year for things like gas taxes and things like that. So we have budgeted about $13.2 million of that. There's a state statute that says we should not plan to spend more than 90% of this revenue. This is less than that. This is somewhere around 85, 86%. But we have different kinds of funds. We have a general fund, and then we have all these other funds like the gas taxes, cemetery, court, sewer, capital improvement. By law, those are restricted for use for certain things. Gas taxes are for road improvements and things of that nature. We are going to spend in our plan almost $1 million on road improvements this year. We've got quite a significant amount of projects for paving projects for road improvements, so I think that's really, really good for the city, if you will. One of the things that we have done, which I know will not be popular, is we are going to increase the garbage collection fee by $1.50 a month. We will start that not at the beginning of the fiscal year, but in January. We'll notice, everybody, our garbage collection fee is currently $18.50. It'll go up to $20. That's driven by the fact that we dispose of our trash at the Shelby County landfill, and last year they went up on the disposal fees by 42%, and we just aren't gonna be able to continue to bear that cost that we didn't pass on last year. So, we do subsidize that with our own, sanitation department. I think when this administration came on board, the first year, we were about a $300,000 deficit in sanitation department. Because of the increase in disposal fees, we're about $450,000 deficit, so we're kind of having to make that up. The other bad news is we have a environmental issue with our sewer plant that's requiring a major sewer project upgrade. The $2.8 million grant that I mentioned was part of that. But we are going to increase our sewer fees by 10%. Now, that's going to work out about the same as for the base sewer fee. And then, of course, it graduates based on water consumption. About the same as the garbage fee, about $1.50 a month. But then, depending upon your consumption, the sewer fees will go up a little bit. But I'm trying to think, guys, what are the other some of the major things in here? I think that's pretty much it. But. Oh, and we are going to increase the fee that we charge for the city cemetery plots. They'll go from $500 to $750, and the opening and closing fee will be the same. Okay, so we'll have this $2.4 million total budget surplus, which exceeds what we have to have. But our general fund surplus, there's nothing that tells us what we have to have there. There's some guidelines to say we ought to have about 2 months worth of general fund operating expenses as a surplus in the general fund as an emergency. That, by the way, would be a subset of this. It's not in addition to this. We're only going to be able to have 1.7 this time because of, again, some of the things that we needed to spend money on, and we're trying to avoid increasing fees. So that is the planned budget. Any questions or comments from the council?
No, but I will say, I mentioned last meeting that I don't like increased fees at all, but I think if you can explain the why behind it, the reason from my perspective, if we're 42, we pick up a piece of garbage, we're 42% in the hole right when we pick up that piece of garbage at somebody's house. I don't think we'll ever get to that 42% because I did the math based on what I actually talked about last time. You know, it's like $7 increase. I mean, that puts it around $30 a month, and I don't think we'll ever get there. But, you know, the alternative is, and I keep using Ms. Lou's example, the alternative is going to private garbage increases, and I don't think the city and the citizens want that. I don't think the elderly wants that. I don't think our streets want that. So this is the only alternative. You know, God did my research on this, and private garbage pickup goes from 20 to, I've talked to people, it's probably 45 or 60 a month. So I mean, you know, if you can, that's the why behind it. It's 42% in the red every time we pick up a piece of garbage, and you know, that's just the reality of it. And I don't think that's going to decrease. But that's where I sit on it, just from the garbage perspective.
Any other questions or comments from the council? Okay, is there a motion to adopt the resolution to adopt the fiscal year 25 budget?
Make a motion we adopt resolution 092402. It's a resolution adopting the 2025 fiscal year budget.
Second.
Okay. Since this is funds, I'm going to ask for a roll call on that too.
Councilmember Lilly?
Yes.
Mizell?
Yes.
Rustin?
Yes.
King? Yes. Phillips?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes. Okay, that is done.
And I'd like to say also, if you, right quick, Mayor.
Yeah.
Back on what Ricky said, the only alternative that they were giving us next was to go to a private company to come out and pick up your garbage. And if you look on social media or anywhere, they don't even pick up half the time, so I don't like it any more than y'all do, so.
And
Just
even,
know that, I didn't like it at all.
and to that point,
But we have to do something.
even private fees are going up this
Yes.
year too. So it's,
But they're also not picking up their garbage if it's sitting outside of your can either.
Right.
They're only emptying that can,
Yeah.
and that's it.
That's right.
That's right, they
And
won't even pick up
at
your
least our city guys pick up what's around the.
We wish you would put it in a can, though.
Y'all just lay off the potato chips and.
Yeah.
All right. Is there any other city business we need to bring up? Anyone wants to bring up? Okay. All right, so next is the mayor's report, and I really don't have anything, but this is, September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And we normally get somebody asking us to adopt a resolution for that, but nobody came to us this time, so I thought I'd go ahead and print it up. I've done a couple of things here. This is from the St. Jude website. There's two. If you're inclined to adopt to or contribute to charity as far as childhood cancer, one of the ones that almost everybody knows about is St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. This is kind of close to me. My son's a pediatric oncologist, so he treats kids with cancer all the time. And he did, when he was in medical school, he did an internship at St. Jude's. He went back there and did a rotation at St. Jude's later. Today, he works at Children's Hospital, or Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, in their AFLAC Childhood Cancer Campaign. Their hospital is supported by AFLAC, a lot of funds. So AFLAC is somebody else if you're inclined to support cancer research and cancer treatment for children. St. Jude's is primarily a research hospital. Most of your contributions there go to research. I didn't realize this. I visited the campus. It's a huge campus, a lot going on there. And then my son, they said they only have 73 beds there. Of course, most of the kids that they treat are outpatient with chemotherapy and radiation and stuff like that. So funding does go to support families and support the treatment to kids there. AFLAC does similar things at CHOA. They've got a brand new hospital at CHOA, at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. It's about 446 beds, plus CHOA has 3 other sites, which is another 600 and something beds. That's not all cancer, by the way. It's about 100 for cancer at their main site there, and I don't know what it is at the other. But the other cute thing is when you contribute this money to their cancer fund, is kids who sort of need a little support for when they're going through treatments. AFLAC gives them these little ducks, okay? And so, when your funding goes to AFLAC for the cancer program, part of it funds these little ducks as a blanket. This right here, this little boy's name is Mondo. And about 2.5 years ago, when he was 5, my son diagnosed him with kidney cancer. It's called Wilms tumor, I think it is. Anyway, and he's now 7. He was 5 years old. He's now 7. And his mom wrote this book. It says, A Little Boy's Mission to Beat Cancer. About a month ago, he came to CHOA, and after 2.5 years of treatment, he was cancer-free. Now, most of the kids are, I won't say most, but many of the outcomes, unfortunately, for kids with cancer aren't as favorable as Mondo's, but we're real happy about that. This is the cover of the book. I'm sure his mom's using it to help pay for some of that expensive cancer treatment, so you can buy it on Amazon, you can buy it on Walmart, Barnes & Noble. I can tell you Amazon, it's back ordered because I tried to buy it. But anyway, it's Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Announcements. Got anything for the announcements, or am I going to have to do that too? Okay, I'll read the chart. Homecoming's on the 27th. We talked about there's some conflicts there. You mentioned that, I think, Lisa, and you were talking to Ricky about it. Homecoming parade at 1:30, game at 6:30. Discover Shelby Fest on October the 12th. That's been a big hit here at the Old Mill Square, and it runs basically from 11:30 all the way to 6:30 with music, food, drink, etc. Starting the October 26th, this is Main Street fundraiser, the farm to dinner table. And then October the 31st, when we have Halloween, we'll have Monsters on Main. Any other questions or comments from anybody?
Football team is 4-0 at the high school.
Yes,
They play at home.
great.
They play at home Friday night. Next 3 games, I think, are at home. So they could use your support. 7 o'clock kick.
All right. If there's aren't any other comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.